Good morning, everyone, and welcome back into North Dakota Today. Well, joining us today via Zoom is Chris Larson, founder of Comfort King Mattress Factory. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to be here. Good morning.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us via Zoom this morning. And we've been following some very exciting developments from your company, including a breakthrough mattress technology called FLOWT. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so FLOWT was an idea I had about 8 years ago,
Mm,
and it took 3 years to develop, and we can get into that more later. But
mhm,
we've been using it in our mattresses at Comfort King for the past 5 years. And basically, what FLOWT is, it's the top of the line cushioning material in the industry. Most mattresses are filled with polyurethane foam.
mhm,
FLOWT is a gel material, and it's an improvement over an existing technology that's been around for about 25 years um, called grid gel. So it's a grid pattern, squares, and we improved that pattern into our um, spiral design, and there's a lot of benefits to that. So, yeah, we've been using our mattresses for the past 5 years at Comfort King, and so it's been tested in real world beds, in people's beds. People really love it, and it brings comfort to a new level,
mhm.
the comfort that people have been searching for.
Well, wonderful. So, what really inspired you to invent that and kind of take that on? Since you mentioned it's been the same for about 20 years.
Yeah, so we've been making mattresses for a little over 32 years,
Hmm.
and there's been a lot of development and improvements in the industry, mainly in comfort in the last 32 years,
Hmm.
but not a lot of technological advancement. The gel is probably the biggest one, but most of the inventions and so-called benefits that happen in the mattress industry are
Hmm.
cosmetic and minor. So even when you see things like the cooling, when they talk about cooling gel, a lot of companies that develop foams that are cooler than the older foams, but foams don't ever cool you down. So
Hmm.
that's a sales pitch. In fact, some foams have more breathability than others, and they have like numbers. If you go to get a sales pitch on cooling foams, they'll talk about airflow, and
Hmm.
they'll have a rating of 1 through 10, with 10 being the highest airflow. And a higher airflow in foam is an improvement. However, they don't do that testing with anyone laying on the foam. And as you compress foam, that benefit disappears. You
Hmm.
don't get much airflow at all. So a lot of the so-called, cooling technology like PCMs, which stands for phase change material, that's another minor advancement that really doesn't have a lot of benefit to the sleeper. Sounds good in the showroom, in a sales pitch, but
Hmm.
what the PCMs do for you is a very short-term benefit. We found it, and they'll admit it. The people that developed it, that it's only about a 20-minute. It benefits you for the first 20 minutes, and since we're sleeping for 8 hours, that's not really a benefit if you're not getting airflow underneath of you. So how back to your original question, how did I come up with the design of FLOWT?
Hmm.
It all started with NDSU engineering department when they approached me about 9 years ago, and they wanted to do a year-long project with Comfort King and using some of our technology and know-how, and then using some of their 3D printing, and they were going to study the human body and how people could sleep better.
Hmm.
Basically, they had the year before they had done it with feet and shoes, trying to figure out better ways, to help people's feet feel better because gravity is a reality we all live with, and it holds us here to the earth, but it
Hmm.
also, if you're on your feet all day, it's what makes your feet hurt. And when you're sleeping in a bed all night, it's what makes your body hurt. So the surface of your mattress makes a huge difference in how well you're going to sleep. And that's what our expertise is. And so throughout that school year, we worked with the engineers at NDSU, and what we came up with was that gel and the collapsing columns technology was the most comfortable surface you could have. But the existing technology of the grid pattern just wasn't doing it for the airflow. It had its limitations. And so I came up with the idea of, it just hit me one day, of a field of umbrellas, basically, these
Hmm.
individual pods. So I drew it on the chalkboard, and then we got to work developing that. And So they helped me in the initial planning stages of creating a few different pod shapes. And then at the end of that school year, I took that and started doing my own research and development. A lot of it was at Comfort King, some of it was at my home, and using an oven and melting materials and using silicone. And so that process took a couple years until we finally found a manufacturing partner in Italy that would help us bring the engineering to, to make an actual finished product. So that whole process took about 3 years.
Okay, well, that is fantastic. And I know that customers don't have to wait. They can experience this technology today at your factory locations in Fargo and Sioux Falls. So, how can we check those out?
Yeah, so our two stores, we're a factory direct, which means we
Yeah.
make the mattresses on site and we have showrooms where you can come check them out. And we actually have 19 different models. Our top 6 models have the float in them, they're float models.
Hmm.
And so we're open 7 days a week. You can also go to comfortforking.net, check that out. But when you come in, one of the things you'll discover about float is it's very comfortable.
Hmm.
But where the real benefit is in the middle of the night, because what float does, it allows airflow as it's compressed.
Hmm.
And foams don't do that, and the other gel technology, the grid pattern, doesn't do it either. So float with the spiral design gives you progressive support. So it's supporting more weight and gets more supportive as you compress it without losing the airflow. And because this material has been used in the medical field for over 25 years, it's considered a medical grade material, and it really helps relieve pressure points better than any material we've ever seen in the industry ever, in the history of mankind.
Well, fantastic. And congratulations on this invention. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, and just one last thing I think
Mhm.
we want to talk about was our partnership with King Coil, that we signed an exclusive agreement. So Float is going nationwide, and you can only get into Dakotas at Comfort King because we have those exclusive territories. But a
Mhm.
national luxury bedding maker named King Coil is our exclusive customer. They have exclusive rights to it, and
Mhm.
so it's going nationwide. So we're super excited about that, and we're sharing it with all of America now.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be sure to check that out. And everyone at home, stick around. We have more North Dakota Today coming right up for you. Get this short break.